extremely disappointed. I'm not feeling great. I'm looking at a Niners team and I'm saying this team's appreciably worse than they were last year. And they have all the same questions after 2 days of free agency that they had going into free agency. That's where we were at. And I'm not going to come out and say they totally redeemed themselves, but today was a good day for the 49ers. Today they made a couple of shrewd moves, in my estimation. Let's start with Eric Kendricks. We know Eric Kendricks. He's a very competent linebacker. Now, he was dramatically overrated when he played for Minnesota, but that's not to say he didn't deserve a rating. He was a very good linebacker for a Minnesota team that, with Mike Zimmer as a head coach and the defensive coordinator, pedigree there, they did a lot of A-gap pressure. Eric Kendricks was a dude that made some stuff happen. As an off-ball guy, I thought he was pretty damn impressive. Again, overrated, but that's fine. He still had a very good rating by any objective measure. And subjective, it should be noted. So Eric Kendricks coming in, now a need is solved. I don't care what the money is. The money only matters if I don't see it on the film. And then you go, well, how much did you pay him? And if you paid him nothing, it's like, well, whatever. If you pay him a lot, as they did with Floyd and Yetur Gross-Matos and with Jordan Elliott, then you're like, what's the plan here? Those are the big bullets in your gun? What's the plan here? Eric Kendricks makes sense. That's a logical part of the plan. They're not going to have Dre Greenlaw for at least a bit. And truth be told, they might never have Dre Greenlaw at the level that he's played at before, which is exceptional and Pro Bowl worthy and maybe even all pro worthy. And he's a juice bringer, one of the most fun players in the NFL to watch. He defined that defense in so many ways. He's not around. He tore his Achilles in the Super Bowl. I don't think you can count on him for the whole of 2024. Now, hopefully he comes back and is the same player that he once was, but I think it would be foolish to bet on him. Eric Kendricks is a player who isn't as good as Dre Greenlaw. That's fine. He's good enough to start in the NFL, no question about it. Play him next to Fred Warner. I think he's going to look pretty good. And the Niners like their linebacker depth. They like some of their young guys. Eric Kendricks made all the sense in the world. That's a really good signing for the San Francisco 49ers. So now we're building it back up again. Now you got a little bit of juice. Now you're feeling like, hey, okay, there is a plan. They're executing. Stuff is happening because they were 0 for 3. Now they're 1 for 4. That looks a lot different in the box score. It really does. That's, you going 0 for with, I think, 3 strikeouts. Maybe it was a line drive out with Leonard Floyd. We'll find out. Maybe Yetur Gross-Matos' talent just shines through and he just needed to be in the right place. Going full Golden State Warriors, stealing dudes from bad organizations, turning them into something special. At the price, it's a question mark, but maybe the Niners do deserve the benefit of the doubt there. Eric Kendricks, no nonsense, straightforward. Here's your starting will linebacker week 1. Hopefully Dre Greenlaw comes back. If he doesn't come back anytime soon, you're covered. If he doesn't come back and look the same, you're covered. This is a 2024 move. It's an excellent move. Eric Kendricks, good job by the 49ers. And I'll say this. Good job by the 49ers getting Malik Collins in a trade today. Didn't cost you a damn thing. No one cares about 7th-round picks. You just had to throw something onto the fire to make this deal happen. You're going to pay about $8 million for Malik Collins. But I'll say this. If Malik Collins is worth 8 and Jordan Elliott is worth 5, Malik Collins is a steal. He's a steal. Now, I don't think that he fulfills the role that the 49ers needed to fill. What I wanted to see, but looks like it's going to not happen, this is my preference, was a big grizzly bear in the middle. Somebody who could actually hold the fort for that defensive line. Maybe not getting that, gap penetration that the Niners love so much, but somebody who could just put their arms out, create a blanket, and give some bear hugs in the run game. Plug up the A gap. That would have been nice to see. And I think it would have been a dynamic that the Niners haven't really had in a couple of years. And it's forced their linebackers to do a little bit more in the run game than they probably should. I thought that would have been a really positive dynamic for this defensive line. I don't think it would have gone away from their scheme and their aggressiveness and all the bullet points that they like to preach. I think that it would have fit in just fine. That would have been the best possible outcome. A DJ Reader would have been a great player there. But listen, you can do a whole lot worse than Malik Collins, who does fit the mandate that the Niners have pushed out, which is get into the backfield. just burst and go. He has good get off. He has a really high motor. He's got a couple of pass rush moves that you can use in the run game. I think that he's a guy who can be disruptive in the middle. He's played a lot of 3 technique, especially with Houston. That's Javon Hargrave's position. You can slide him over to 3 if you need to. Now, I don't know what Jordan Elliott does on this team, because if you already have your number 2 3 technique and Malik Collins, or a guy that you want to slide over there on pass rushing downs next to Hart, like, what's Jordan Elliott's job? Okay, well, that's $5 million down the drain. $5 million he can't spend on somebody else, regardless. I think he can play 1 technique in this system. I think that the Texans, who are doing an outstanding job, as well they should. They got a quarterback on a rookie contract. They made the playoffs last year. Their skill position players are young and cheap. They have the ability to go out and spend some money, and they have. They got Danielle Hunter for $24, $25 million a year to be a starting defensive end for them, a 3-down defensive end. That's a really good move by them. The Texans are doing a really good job, as you would expect, because of the opportunity that they have and the leadership that they have. But Malik Collins coming over probably was going to be an odd man out in Houston, fits in perfectly with the 49ers. I don't think that this is a scrap heap move for Houston, because they're trying to throw money on their defensive side. They want to bolster that unit up, and I think Collins is going to see his snaps diminish. It's going to cost them like $8 million. He had a big contract. Now, a lot of that stays with Houston, but he was kind of a cut candidate because that defense is getting so good, and they have so much talent. And this is a good defensive tackle draft. Like, Malik Collins makes some sense. And if you have now Malik Collins, who you can at least reasonably slide in as a starter, okay, now you have a starter at defensive end, whether that be Gross Matos, whether that be Robert Beal, whether that be Leonard Floyd. You got some options there. Maybe one of those guys does break through and prove themselves to be at least a 2-down player. Then you can slide in a 3rd-down guy for the pass rush, whether that be Floyd as the 3rd-down guy or Floyd as 1st and 2nd-down guy. I've gotten both reports from folks that I've talked to, and that's a little bit concerning that no one knows if he's a 1st and 2nd-down guy or if he's a 3rd-down guy anymore. Buffalo saw him as a 3rd-down guy. Buffalo let him walk out the door. And I don't think that he was asking for a ton of money, not compared to some of the top-end defensive ends. And I know that the Bills are in somewhat of a cap hell because they're paying their quarterback $50 million a year. But losing Leonard Floyd is probably not something you want to do if you have Super Bowl aspirations and you don't have any pass rushers. You don't have a Nick Bosa. You got a Von Miller who's washed. You got Greg Rousseau, who's never really come through. I mean, if you felt good about Leonard Floyd and you're the Buffalo Bills, you keep him. You didn't feel good about him, so you let him go. He was a situational pass rusher, and he didn't get to the quarterback in the last 8 weeks of the season, and especially against the 2 worst tackles in the NFL, in the playoffs against the Chiefs. So, again, those are my concerns, and we'll see what happens. My biggest concern with Leonard Floyd, of course, is, hey, okay, he comes out, and he's like a dog chasing a rabbit for the first 2 months of the season. And then the wheels fall off because he's 31 years old and he's played a lot of hard miles in this league. And he's not exactly the biggest built dude, though that comes with problems as well. So, you know, he's taken some hits in this war of attrition we call the National Football League. I'd be a little bit concerned about how Leonard Floyd holds up, because he didn't hold up well last year. Maybe the California weather helps him out. Maybe it doesn't. We'll find out. Because the Niners are riding in that direction. But, okay, you got some options at defensive end now. I might not love them, but you got some options. You clearly have Javon Hargrave, who you're counting on. You're paying big money to. He's going to be in the middle of that line. And now you slide in Malik Collins. And while he doesn't fulfill the mandate that I laid out, he does fit their scheme very well. Clearly, he played for the Texans last year. And again, he's out because they're adding crazy talent to their defensive line, to their defense overall. And he just looked like a cap casualty for them. We're not going to be able to give this guy the amount of snaps that we need. It's probably them just being good guys and saying he can't really be a situational player for us. We can't pay a situational player that much money. Let's put him into a better spot. Niners have a need there. Let's make this happen. Good on the Texans, good on the Niners. You can reasonably say that Malik Collins is your starting defensive tackle next to Javon Hargrave. That doesn't bother me. Is it the best possible option? Hell no. But it doesn't bother me. It's an answer to the question that we had going into free agency. It took 3 days to get there, but it's an answer to the question. And then you got Nick Bosa on the other side. Eric Hendricks, he's your starting weak side linebacker, starting will linebacker. Answers a question. Fred Warner's there. You got Mooney Ward on one side. You got the Amador Lenore in the slot. I still think there's a big question at corner, and that corner market has not been explored yet, though you'll have to forgive me. I haven't checked anything in like an hour. So maybe I'm just sounding like an idiot right now, beyond the general sense of idiocy that I present. And then you know who your safeties are. You got Jair Brown playing free safety for you next year. You can bring in some depth guys. That safety market is just totally whack. It's unfair to some of these safeties. Maybe Justin Simmons, though I hear he's interested and the Titans are interested in him. I don't know what the hell the Titans are doing, but that's not really my issue to worry about. And then you bring him back, Talanoa Hufanga, to play strong safety, which if they are going to the 3-4 defense that they say they're going back to, I'm sorry, not the 3-4 defense. That's a Freudian slip. If they're going back to the cover 3 defense that they say they want to go back to in earnest, and they were a lot more cover 2, cover 4 last year. If they're going back to one high safety, that means Hufanga is your strong side linebacker, in essence, on every single down. And that's okay, because that's where he should be playing, close to the line of scrimmage. Puts a lot of pressure on Brown. I like Brown, so I'm in on that. You want to bring in some depth to help him out as a true cover 3 free safety, single high free safety, go to town. I don't think it's going to cost you very much. So the only question that I have, even though they haven't optimized at defensive end, and they haven't really optimized at defensive tackle, though I like Collins more than I like the ends, they did optimize. I think that's about as good as you can ask for with Eric Kendricks as a weak side linebacker in the strange role that he's being asked to play with Dre Greenlaw out. The only question that I still have on the defensive side, as we're into day 3 now of free agency, is who's the number 2 corner?